Hello, I am Ron Baker. Welcome to episode 23 of Empowered at Last. I am continuing a series of answering your specific questions that you sent in. And I will always encourage you to become proactive in this conversation. Please let your needs be known. Let me know the things you want me to talk about. It's easy to email me from ronbaker.net. It is also easy to reach out via my Facebook group, Empowered at Last with Ron Baker. If you reach out, you make it possible for me to give you exactly the things that you're interested in. I love the dialogue. So I'm also going to give you another quick story from the event that I went to this last month called Camp Maverick. It was in Austin, Texas. It's a group of leaders and entrepreneurs that are focusing on doing amazing things in the world that make an impact to our planet by also learning to come together in mutual support. Now, I'm a personal transformation guy, and most of the people at this event were business owners, CEOs, people at profound levels of connection, and I was unique in the group. Well, it's important to understand, rather than just going to situations that are exactly like what our comfort zone would allow, I go to people who love what I'm interested in. I go to people who are just like me. Well, it is important to have those kinds of people in our lives. However, if we stretch our comfort zones to purposefully reach out to find out about other groups of people, such as these awesome business leaders, we find out we have unique gifts to bring to one another. If we're all the same, the opportunities are not nearly as diverse and deep. So I encourage you to do like I did, because what I found out is I became so inspired by levels of business practice that I haven't had time to learn and deepen. These people bringing their expertise with such generosity inspired me and humbled me with how much I don't know. There is no way for us to all know all subjects. No way. But if we put ourselves in positions where we can truly learn from others, and then we're willing to share what our particular interests, depths, even areas of expertise might be, we enhance one another's lives in a much more effective way. And so this is what I did. And I had the chance to share a clear map of self, a clear map of what is required for us to move through 3 distinct levels of consciousness that we all hold. These business people didn't necessarily have time to have learned about these things because they're so busy investing in their particular interests and areas of expertise. They were so dang open to me sharing what I had to bring to the table that I went as a participant to this event, and I ended up as an impromptu speaker to a group of between 15 and 20 of the 100 people that were there. Who knows what opens when we show up willing to share ourselves? It's just an encouragement that I hadn't stretched myself into, and so I'm thrilled to be able to bring to you how enhancing this was for me. So with that said, let's jump into some of the questions that you've sent in. This next question is something I know a ton of people deal with. It says, how do I accept and love my body as it changes? Becoming 40 and things becoming different, how do I make peace with this? Well, I will address approaching midlife, which is what the person is referring to, and how the body naturally shifts. But it's a much bigger, pervasive issue than just the shift that takes place for people in their 40s and 50s. The bottom line is, how do I love myself? How do I love my body? The body is a reflection of self. I'm going to use myself as an example. I did not remotely get taught when I was young how to value myself, how to connect to myself on the inside, how to trust myself, and what I had to bring into the world. I didn't know how to love myself, the essence of who I am as a person, which is constantly evolving and growing and shifting. I didn't learn how to do that. Because of that, what we end up doing is we look for excuses that justify how we feel. I'm going to say that again. We look for excuses that justify how we feel. I'm going to give you an example from my own life. Because I didn't love myself fully on the inside when I began this journey, I just literally didn't even know what that meant or how it was possible. I just knew that I was working my butt off to prove myself, hoping that others would value me, hoping that others would love me. Surely that's the answer. It's not. There are plenty of people who loved me to the best of their ability up to my 30th birthday, but I didn't know how to love me. When my clients come in to work with me, I know how to love and value them from session number 1. That does not solve their own issues of unworthiness or unlovability. It doesn't. So if we are not knowing how to love ourselves and value ourselves, again, I return to, we are going to look for an excuse that justifies why I can't love myself. Oh, I can't love myself because I make so many mistakes. Oh, I can't love myself because I carry an extra however many pounds. Oh, I can't love myself because I'm too skinny. Now I get specific with my own. I'm sure that you have been watching this video, if you are watching it on YouTube rather than just listening on iTunes. I'm sure that you've been staring at my ear. Of course, I know I'm being absurd. I've lived long enough now to know that you are not interested in the fact that I have a pointy ear. It even looks like an elf ear. Why in the world do I have a pointy ear? When I was in the womb space, my umbilical cord was wrapped around my head and throat. It caused an emergency birth that I almost did not survive. Well, that umbilical cord pressing against my head, pressing my ear to my head, caused the skin of this outer fold of my ear to grow together with the inner part. For years, I grew my hair long enough to cover this ear. Why? It's an imperfection. It's a reason someone might not love me. I assure you, that was quite serious to me when I was a teen and in my 20s. Now, I can now tell you about this without fear and shame because I have learned to love myself profoundly compared to where I started. And so I don't any longer need an excuse like my ear, but I had to learn to feel my feelings that this ear triggered to the surface. Every time I focused on it, I felt unlovable, imperfect, etc. Until I learned how to go inside and nurture those feelings, which is a very specific tool that we need to learn how to do. I'm not going to go into all that today in the podcast. I have a short amount of time and I'm covering an overview. If you want to learn those tools, they are certainly available on my website through a course that is called at the moment Claiming Your Authentic Self. So, if I didn't know how to go in and nurture those feelings, I probably would be sitting here with a haircut that was still covering my ear. We're not free until we learn how to love all of ourselves, including the feelings that are wounded and misinformed. How did they get misinformed? Mommy, Daddy didn't know how to love all of us. They didn't know how to hold a space for all our feelings. And we learned to personalize where we did not feel loved as being an affirmation that I'm not lovable. It's not true. It's simply not true. But there's a series of perspectives that are required in order for us to see it at a deeper level. Let's use this example. Have you been looking at me or imagining, if you're listening on iTunes, how unlovable I am now that you know that I have a pointy ear? I can almost guarantee that you have not been sitting there convinced at my unlovability because of this ear. And so I return to you, what we carry is a myth. It was based on a real experience. We felt genuinely unlovable when Mom and Dad's comfort zone did not know how to embrace us fully. And we've passed on the limitations of that from generation to generation to generation. But it's entirely possible to heal it. It's entirely possible to go to deeper adult truths that allow us to see it from a different, wiser perspective. I eventually realized that my issue with my ear was simply my justification for feelings that I already held in fear and shame. I hope that makes sense as a concept. It is not going to resolve it for you to understand the concept. That is just a starting place. It is a profound starting place, but you also need specific tools in order to work through the wounded feelings so that you can be free of judging and shaming yourself for anything you consider less than ideal. It may be habits, it may be challenges, it may be limitations that you have, and it may be something about your physical body. All of that is vital in order to have a beginning understanding about this question. How do I love my body, particularly when it's going through change? Now let me give you a proactive exercise to begin to appreciate and value your body, hopefully in ways that you haven't thought of before. How many times do you take a shower and touch a certain part of your body? At the moment I'm touching my face. How many times have you taken a shower and touched a certain part of your body and taken the time to acknowledge all that that part of your body does to enhance your life? If I touched my ear, to stick with the same example, how grateful am I that my ears serve me to capture sound waves so that they go in and vibrate inside my head and become interpreted as sound. How rich is my life because these very ears are capable of doing such a thing. How often do I take the time to love my ears, my eyes, my nose? I could go to every single body part. How do my feet serve me? How do my hands serve me? Every single body part. How do my arms and my biceps and the strength to pick something up serve me every single day? Do not think this is an oversimplification. If you do, you'll miss a huge opportunity to start loving your body. It houses your entire soul being. And we are taught through advertising, which plays on our fear and shame, that if we just get this outfit and we just lose weight and we just fill in the blank, then we'll be lovable, then we'll be sexy. I guarantee you, I have taught profoundly perfect body types, and the person inside those bodies was not loving themselves at the levels that are possible. I know this. I live in the world focusing on people who are generous enough to share deeper truths about their myths and fears. If you are not loving and appreciating and valuing your body, it doesn't really have to do with your body as much as yourself. However, let's honor that all of us live in a world where people have acted out. We may have acted out in these ways. Think about elementary school when people have been teased about something about their body. Don't think that people never mentioned my ear. If someone is unhappy and they aren't feeling lovable at home with people who are acknowledging who they are and showing them how sacred they are as an individual, then they end up carrying fear and shame and charged feelings that want a place to act out and discharge those feelings. In the name of fear and shame and wanting to make myself feel a little better, elementary kids will tend to judge and shame anything that they can. Oh my goodness, you're so tall, it's ridiculous. Oh my goodness, you're so short, it's ridiculous. Oh my God, you have a different, fill it in. You have curly hair, you have straight hair, you have this color skin, you have that color skin. Oh my gosh. And any single imperfection, according to whom? Any single thing that can be picked out and picked on becomes a really sad symptom of wounding. Both people end up with wounds. We keep each other so scared to death and wounded, even by buying into the fact that we have to be perfect and we have to hide our ear. No, we don't. No. My ear is now a symbol and a reminder that my love for myself and my capacity to value myself is inside me. Every time I think of this ear, it now has special meaning and value because I didn't let it stop from a child's myth of shame and fear. So even though I did not talk about the body changing at midlife, the body changes constantly. Most people do not have the same body shape, just evaluated every 5 years of your life. Why in the world should we feel the pressure to have the same body at 25 we had at 20, or 30 that we had at 20, or 40 that we had at 30. Why should we feel the pressure? It all boils down to the same thing. If I'm not loving me and who I am as a person, my gosh, the opportunity is to love myself like fine wine, which only gets better and deeper and richer and more valuable over time. I am not being cliche and saying, oh, ignore your body. No, take care of your body. But if you're growing and deepening and practicing loving and valuing yourself, you are going to love yourself much more deeply and fully at 30 than you did at 20, at 50 than you did at 30. That is the goal. That is a worthy, profound, meaningful way to approach your life. That is how you love your body as it goes through its natural shifts. Though please, take good care of your body. Feed it well. Sleep with it well. Give it rest. Give it pleasure. Give it joy. Feed yourself with self-love. Plenty of clues for today. Thank you so much for your question. Please keep sending in the questions, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great week.